Alright, our next drawing, Woods 1, drafting number 2. Okay, so you've completed Woods 1, drafting 1. You can see that the border lines and title block are exactly the same with the exception of drafting number 2 or drawing number 2, however you want to look at it. But they're still ½ in, still your same title block, and you still center it the same exact way you did drawing number 1. So this will be kind of a review for a little bit, and we'll get moving. Okay, so again, you want to get your paper near the center of your tablet. T-square tight on your non-dominant arm. I am right-handed, I use my right, so I want the head of the T-square on my left. Okay, hold it tight, slide your hand over. You want your paper near the center of your tablet, not up on it on either side. So center of your tablet, make sure that paper is dead on in line with the T-square. No guesstimating. You'll look at it, get your head right over it. Don't take that hand off until you get at least 2 corners taped down. Remember, don't rub over the paper because this tape has got to come off or you'll lose points. Okay, so get it nice and taped down. Now on these videos, also remember, you're in control of the video. You can fast forward or you can rewind. If you don't understand what I said, rewind, look at it again, as many times as it takes. Not a big deal. Okay, I'm going to zoom down a little bit closer. You don't need to see the edge anymore. You know I'm going to be holding it tight, sliding my hand over every time. Everywhere I go, hold it tight, slide my hand over, hold it down. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see a little closer what's going on. Okay, remember your border line is a ½ in, even though this is run through a copier, so it won't be on our paper. Yours will be, correct? Alright, so I'm going to put it right on 0, not the end of the ruler, right on the 0. Put a nice little mark at a ½. I'm going to speed it up and cheat. We're right on 11 over here, so if I come back to 10½, that would be a ½ inch. Okay, same thing going up and down. Put it right on 0. Put a mark at a ½ inch. Okay, if I put it on 10, I can come back to 9½. That would be a ½ inch. Okay, remember we're going to draw everything nice and light. Put your pencil right on the mark, slide it up to it, hold it down tight, nice and light, because we know we're going to be erasing. Nice and light. It's faster this way than trying to do it dark. Faster and neater. Okay, line up. Okay, now I have my border line all the way around my paper. Okay, so now I want to do my title block. Remember, everything inside the border line can be measured. So we can measure that title block. This ruler goes down to a 32nd, which I don't like to even look at all those 30 seconds. I like to use only down to a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm gonna zoom it out just a touch and start at the 1 as if it's 0. If you're using less than an inch, that's kind of handy to do. Okay, so if you look at that, the border line that you just drew, we put it right on the 1 or the 2 or the 3. Your first guideline is 1/8 inch. If you can't read a ruler, it's 2 marks. Your second guideline is 3/8, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then your top of your title block would be a ½ So if you can remember that, 1/8, 3/8 and a half, or 2 marks, 6 marks, and 8 marks, you can do it. So even if you cannot read a ruler, you can do these draftings. Okay, so I put a mark at 1/8, 3/8 and a half. Those are the lines I need to draw. That'd be 1/8, 3/8, half. Okay, let's zoom it back out just a little bit. Okay, I put my pencil right on the mark, keep my T-square tight, slide it right up to it, hold it down, draw my line. Put it on my next mark. Oop, something's catching, so I'm going to lift it up a little bit. Slide up to it. Draw my line. Now when I was in college, and I can see the difference, they taught us to slowly roll your pencil as you're going, and that will help keep a more consistent point, so you're not a sharp point and then go fat and fuzzy. So slowly roll that as you're going to help maintain consistency in your line. Okay? Alright, so we have our title block. Now we need to do our division lines. If we put our 0 right on the side border line, you can see it's at 2.5. Each one of those divisions is 2.5 inches. So if you add them up, 2.5 plus 2.5 would equal 5. 5 plus 2.5 would be 7.5. So if you can remember that, 2.5, 5, 7.5, that's where our marks go. Okay, zoom out just a touch so we can get it all in there. Okay, so I'm going to put a little mark at 2.5, a little mark at 5, 7.5. For some reason, at this point, kids either want to take a triangle, go out here, guess the angle, or they want to just freehand. Simple, easy, push your T-square up tight, line it up with your mark, draw it. Quick and easy, and you're on the money. Easier than trying to guess the angle. Okay, I'm not going to go through the other steps. Alright, I'm back. Okay, I will fill out the lettering later, excuse me. But again, it's all capital letters from guideline to guideline. Class, period, whatever you are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drawing number 2. Don't write date, put the date. Like 12, 20, 20, or whatever the date is. 12, 14, 20. Don't write name, put your name. Okay? Alright, so we've got that now. So now we need to find the center of our drawing space, which would be above our title block inside our borderline. So we want the center of that space. Easy, quick way to do it. Flip your T-square over so this head isn't catching, and go from opposite corner to opposite corner, but don't draw all the way. Don't create yourself work. Okay, so we're going to line up right there. Now I'm going to visualize where that hits and draw an extremely light construction line, because you're going to be erasing it. You can barely see that. Awesome, that's what we want. Again, opposite corner, and I just need a tiny little mark right there. That's the center of our drawing space. Okay, so now we have this object right here. We can zoom in a little bit, which, if you look at the outside, is a rectangle. Okay, then we have this notch. So just like drawing 1, we're going to find the center of this and draw the rectangle, then we'll worry about this notch. Okay, so what is half of 6 inches? Half of 6 would be 3. So we're going to put 3 on the center, mark at 0, and a mark at 6. So we just located this edge and this edge. Okay, now I'm gonna draw these lines. I'm gonna draw them extremely light because we know we're gonna be erasing. Extremely light construction, but it's so much faster than trying to do it dark and right on the money the first go. Okay, so we've got our lines. We know they're going to be erased, like I said. Okay, this one's a little bit more math than your first drafting. We're 3.5 inches tall. What's half of 3.5 to find the center? Half of 3 would be 1.5. A half is a quarter. So 1.5 plus a quarter is 1 3/4. Let's put that on the center. Mark 0, mark 3.5. Okay, same thing. Put our T-square back on our side. Line up with our mark. Okay, I like to cheat a little bit because I know I have extension lines that come straight off with the gap. So I'm gonna do that right now. I just draw it across. Leave a tiny little gap right now. It'll be changed and draw a line out. Nice and light because you know we're going to be erasing. Draw a line across there, stop, little gap, draw a line out. Okay, so we have our rectangle shape. Now we just need to worry about our, what I call the notch up top. If we put our ruler, let's zoom back out a little bit. If we put our ruler on the top right there, you'll see that those lines come off at, if we put it on the 0, mark at 2, mark at 4, we can mark our edges. So if we put it right on 0, let's put a mark at 2 and a mark at 4. So we know where our upright lines are going to be. Okay, so I'm going to draw those first nice and light again because we know we're going to be erasing. Nice and light. Now let's measure down. Measure down for the bottom of our line coming across. Okay, which is from there to that line is 1 3/4. Even if you can't read a ruler, you can count lines and figure it out. Okay, so line your 0 up, 1 3/4. Put a little mark. Draw your line across. And then you can start erasing overhangs and stuff. Now on the sides, you don't want to erase those because we have our extension line. Remember, they're straight in line. We're straight in line already. So it's pretty easy to do. Okay, all of these are the same. It's a 1/4 inch gap with a 1/2 inch long line. 1/4 inch gap, 1/2 inch long line. 1/4 inch gap, 1/2 inch long line. So you can measure right on it. I'm going to start on the 5, it doesn't matter. You can see a 1/4 inch gap. I like to do it this way. Your line starts at a 1/4 inch, your dimension line is at a 1/2, and it ends at 3/4. Okay, so let's do put a little tiny mark at a 1/4, nice and light. Put a little tiny mark at a 1/2, a little tiny mark at 3/4. Now this one, you don't need the center, but 1/4 and 3/4. Do the same exact thing on your bottom. 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. You don't need the center. 1/4, 3/4. Now you can start erasing out your overhangs and your gap, okay, so that you can draw your dimension lines. Remember, we leave a space in the center, just visually the center. We know the center is right there. Line up. I'm going to say right there. Round. Just like that. Same thing down here. Center is going to be about right there. T-square tight. Lay the gap and come across. Alright, so we just need to do some erasing. Now let's look at our arrows. Remember, this line is on a 0. We have our T-square tight and our triangle tight to it. The shallow angle is on a 30. The steep angle is on a 60. So we want it 30 degrees away from a 0, so we want our 30. Draw back about 3/16 of an inch. Draw down 3/16 of an inch. Roll the triangle over. 3/16. I go ahead and draw these dark. 3/16. Okay, now this side border line, or dimension line, excuse me, is on a 90-degree angle. So to get 30 degrees away from that, we need our 60. So same thing, T-square tight, triangle tight to it. Draw your line back. T-square tight, it's catching on something on me. Draw your line. Again, roll your triangle over. Draw your line. Draw your line for your arrow. Then you can put your measurements in. Go ahead and do them dark. 3 1/2 inch. You'd clean things up, erase all your overhangs, then start darkening up. Okay, the good hint on darkening, when you normally draw, you pull your pencil. When you're darkening, I like to push your pencil, but you need to make sure you don't get so dark or push so much you cut into your paper. But I like to do that, then I can watch my pencil and make slight adjustments so I can stay right on the line. Okay, so T-square right where I want it, make sure I'm right on the line, hold it down. So darkening, you pull, make sure you're staying right on the line, get your eyeballs where you can watch exactly what's going on. Okay, now you can see on that one, I didn't spin my pencil as I was going. You can see this end. Let's zoom in a bit. Getting a little out of focus, but this end is sharper. This end is fuzzier, isn't it? Okay, so that's exactly what I was talking. Slowly turn your pencil. But I don't have a double line, do I? Okay, so you'd go around, darken everything up, make sure everything is clean, make sure all your written information is in, and turn it into the tray. Okay, that would end drawing number 2.